like I said, thank you for your interest in custom trees. I'm going to show you a couple of things that the new Pack 2 has and what you can do with the auto material and the trees in it. So first and foremost, what we want to do is let's go ahead and just create a new map. We can either create a new map straight from here, or we can just go to here and just open up a new level, which I think we're going to do that because then it's going to add a couple of things for us. So the new level, we're just going to go default, and then we get this over here. We're just going to delete all this other stuff. So let's get rid of the floor, the player start, the skylight, and no. Well, let's just keep everything else except for the floor. Let's get rid of the floor. There's that, and there's that, and there's that. All right. So we want to go into modes over here. We want to bring in our landscape in. So we can either create one from new, or we can import from a file. Typically, this is what most people are going to be doing. Bringing in their height maps. So we'll bring in our height maps. I've got a couple here. Let's just do island 2. Yeah, we'll do island 2. And it's a big map. It's an 8K map. And let's import it. Yeah. Skysphere. Let's add our last source to the Skysphere. That source is going to be movable. And our skylight, I like to set to stationary. And all right, so we can kind of see where we're going to want our water to be. You know, it's right in this area here. So we're going to bring a plane in. Back over to here to, oh, first and foremost, I guess we need to add the material to it. So in your Pack 2 Maps folder, you're going to have materials. You're going to have an auto LS material here. This is the auto landscape. And we're going to create an instance for that material. We'll just call it new map instance. And we're going to drag it over here to landscape material. Give it just a few seconds to load in. It's all going to be dark. So at this point, we need to go over to the paint option in landscape mode. And you're going to see that there's layers here. All right, so you want to go into your generated, create your layer info. And it's going to ask you where you want to save this. So whatever you named your map, typically it's going to have the new map underscore shared asset. So we click OK here. It'll take just a little bit to load in the textures. Once that happens, then you're going to see this mess. Now this mess here obviously can be adjusted. But before then, let's go ahead and add in our other layers. We'll just go through the process here. Now these layers are here only if you need to paint, manually paint on your material. The generated is created through the auto material. So the first thing we want to do is get our water. Since we have an island, we need water, so let's go ahead and pull in a plane. Now, obviously, when Unreal Engine, I think 4.26 or 4.27, I think they are going to have some pretty fancy water, oceans and lakes and so on and so forth. So obviously until then you're doing the whole plane thing until, unless you have an add-on for it already. So let's do 8500 here, 8500, and that's fine. So let's bring this up until we are comfortable from where we would be. We'll have a little, no, that's not going to do. Not going to do. We'll bring it up until right there. Right there. We got a little island off to the side, and that looks like, that looks bad. So let's bring out this, oh, water plane needs to be centered. There we go. Now we'll bring it down. More. There. That's fine. Whatever. Alrighty. So let's add our material here. Go back out to the main folder. Go into the water. And then we have some, so we have lake water and ocean water. These are very, 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 very basic materials. They come from Epic with very slight modifications to them. So add in some water. And now we get to start adjusting our new map instance. So our blending, we have our beach height, which is what we want to set first. Let's go ahead and try to get our beach set up here. Alright, so we want to get our beach height here set up. So the default comes in at -1000, so that's going to have to be a lot lower. Obviously -1000 is way up here. So we'll just do like -13500. That brings it down pretty stinking close. Yeah. And let's adjust our contrast. Maybe 15. Yeah, that's too much though. So maybe 13200. 13500. No, we're going the wrong way. 12750. Yeah, that should be a decent looking. Looks like a decent beach. Yep. Alright, now that the beach is set, let's go through the couple of other of the options here. So you got sharpness and bias for the dirt and the grass. This is hard to explain. You just almost have to just show. If I set it to 30, we're all dirt. If I set it to 36, we're all grass. If I set it somewhere in the middle, between like 30, 32, 33, you can start seeing some of the grass start to come in. So there's some dirt. 34, there's more dirt. 35, or I'm sorry, there's more grass. And then 35, there's even more grass. So the dirt's only kind of surrounding where the rock is. So by default, 34 is I thought was a good number. The bias pretty much does the same thing, gives you a little bit more control over it, and the same thing for the rock dirt bias. Now this foliage multiplier, if you're wondering what this is, when we get close to the beach here, if we had this down to 1, you can see that the grass comes encroaching onto the beach more. So we want to eliminate a lot of that's going on. So this multiplier does just that. Because it kicks it back. The higher the number is, the further away from the beach that the grass will be. And what I mean by grass, I mean the actual physical grass right here, what it looks like. Alright. So I've already changed the rock texture here to something different, but you can leave it default, or you can change any of these to whatever you want. The colors, the tiling, there's 3 different tilings. There's a far tiling, a near tiling, and a macro. I've already kind of just pre-done these, even though you can still see some tiling in the grass. That's more or less going to be covered up by the trees once we're done here. More or less. And we're going to jump right into that here in just a second. So tint here, these are the colors of, say, the grass, the sand, the dirt, and the rock, obviously. So like if I didn't want, let me go ahead and copy this here. That way we can just go right back to it. So if I didn't want the grass this color, now it comes in real bright like this. So it kind of looks okay from a distance, but when you get close up here to the grass, you can tell, you can see what I mean. We go in here and change this lower. Let's see, there we go. Looks pretty good. Pretty good, I said. Now what you also want to do is add in a post-processing volume here. And if you'll scroll down to settings and check the infinite extent, this basically unbounds the volume to where it applies to the whole map. And if you go up to lens, there's an exposure. I usually set mine to my min and max brightness to 1, and then I can change the exposure from here to suit, how I want my scene to look. So at this point, we can put some trees in and see what that looks like. So in order to do so, we'll go over to the Modes tab, choose Foliage, and then we'll go down to our Trees folder, and I'm just going to put Pine in for now, for this map, because we can just imagine that this is on a northern cold area of the world. Alright. So now that we have that, so select all of these and then go through some options here. So density, we'll put it 0.2, radius 850. Scale is going to be at 0.75 to 1.25. I like to set my offset to -10, -10, just in case it gets on a corner and you don't want the bottom of your tree showing. And about a 12% grade on the ground for these particular trees. And let's start with -20,000 for the minimum height. And then collisions to lockout dynamic. And let's start drawing them in and see where we are. Alright, 20,000 is a little too far. So we'll go to -18,500. That might be too close. That's right there at the edge, ain't it? I mean, slap right there at the edge. But anyway, that gets you right where you, actually kind of gets you right where you need to be. Gets you right up on the edge, so now you can just mark them in like you're coloring in a big old coloring book. And these are dropping in. I may speed this up for you later. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do or not. I may make you just endure the pain of watching me scribble these trees into this island. And I'm not using any kind of special method here, just throwing them on there. Wherever they land is where they land. Sorry for the sound effects. Alright, well there you have it. Really couldn't be any easier than this. We've got, if we choose all of these, and we choose to remove them, they'll tell us exactly how many we have. 30,661 trees in this, and I'm getting about 45 frames per second looking at the whole map. So they're fairly optimized. They're ready to be played with. So now that our trees are in, we need to bring in our wind, which is this BP environment. I'll go ahead and take that out, and it's located in the blueprints folder. Just pull in environments, and then you can see here that it has options for wind rotation, obviously the direction that the wind is blowing, from 0 to 359 degrees. Wind intensity, that is the constant wind that is pushing on the trees. I'll kind of give you an example. If I increase this wind, you can see how the trees will start to bow. And the higher the wind, the trees will start to sway more and more. Obviously, the smaller trees sway more than the bigger trees. The bigger trees have thicker wood. So, and the max gust is a variable that you can set to determine how the maximum gust, how strong it is, and think of an easier way to say it. Excuse me. Now we have two other settings here for it, and I do plan on adding some other settings to this later on down the line, but season is one of them, so which allows you to, as fall comes along and winter comes along, you can go from spring, summer, to a fall type setting, which you can see here. To get a little bit of a color difference, color change. Almost feels like a fall time out, in the forest. We can also add snow if we want some snowfall to accumulate and populate in our trees and on our ground. We can also add to that, and you see we get this winter wonderland going on here. And then you can have the snow melt as spring comes back along. For those who may not know, so if we go to landscape over here and we choose, like say for instance this area over here where we know that there's not going to be this transition between this rock to this beach area, what we can do is we can go just straight up rock right here. Let's paint, go rock. Let's bring the radius up to here. That's fine. No worries. So we just bring this paint in. And you can kind of see where this rock and dirt kind of go together. And that way you're not left with this weird looking beach and rocks up against each other. I guess. I'm not a level designer, so all I do is program. So, but if you wanted to make some trails through the forest, we can use this. We'll drop this back down to about 350. Maybe more. Maybe it's 600. Yeah, that should do. You can just draw in your dirt path. To wherever you need it to go. And of course, that will also remove the grass from the path. Like so. However you want to do it. But again, thank you for your interest in Just Trees. If there's any questions you have about anything, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to get it answered as soon as I can. And you guys have a great day, okay? Thanks.